Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will, Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Andy, oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna
score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast, Chiefs post-game show. It's bittersweet. It's not a victory party, at least when it comes to the game. The Chiefs fall to the Las Vegas Raiders on a last-second 60-yard field goal, 14-12, which this game, I mean, the way this one ended just really kind of summed up the Chiefs season. I think it was fitting. But if your team tank, and I know the blog father here with me, Adam Best, is also joined by the sweetest, smoothest voice in Kansas City radio, Sterling Holmes, Patrick Allen here. Look, it doesn't feel right to root against the Chiefs beating the Raiders. Some people just that's like a cardinal sin. They're never going to do it, and I get it. And it may be painful for you to hear us be glad that the Chiefs lost this game, and I get that. I understand it. But the Chiefs had nothing to play for in this game, and they had several draft spots to gain by losing, and they did that. We're going to get into all of that, and of course, this may have been Travis Kelce's last game, and that is the real hard part about watching this monstrosity of a football game. So we'll get into that as well. Again, Arrowhead Addict podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, and let's get into it and break this thing down. But we'll start with you, Adam. You founded Arrowhead Addict, and you did so during a time when we watched games like this were the norm. Like, that was how we experienced Chiefs football. Not only were the games putrid and bad and the quarterbacks couldn't play, but we also usually lost in the end as well, even when it looked like we might win. So you and I were talking before the show. I said I felt kind of back at home watching this team a little bit. Not that I want to stay. What's your take on this monstrosity?
Yeah, that was my Frank the Tank dance you saw a few minutes ago. I'm pretty happy with this outcome. I thought the Chiefs, who haven't shown a lot of pride all season, were finally going to show some pride only with minutes left in the year at a time when it would just hurt their draft positioning. So if the Raiders want to hand us a top 10 pick with the foundation that we have in Kansas City, let them. I don't know. This has been a team that's been to 3 Super Bowls in a row. I mean, losing one time to the Raiders in a meaningless game, one of the most meaningless games I've ever seen, because the Raiders had the number 1 pick locked up. So this meant nothing. And Jack Cochran, who has been horrific on special teams this year, went down and thought he was Daniel Sorensen in the divisional playoffs and almost wrecked the tank. I about blew a gasket. That the one time Jack Cochran actually does something right, it's at the exact wrong time you want it to happen. But thankfully, Daniel Carlson knocked that in. I think there's a big difference between the 12th pick and the 9th pick. With the 9th pick, usually you're closer to superstar players. You can go up and get somebody. It matters. I don't know how much it will matter, but it could definitely matter. So I'm glad they lost. I don't care.
With the 9th pick, if you just real quick before you get to Sterling, if 2 quarterbacks go in the top 10 and you're picking at 9, and they're right now people are predicting 2 quarterbacks to go early, that's huge. You're getting a top 7 player in the draft. That's really important. Sterling, what about you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, if you get it right. Man, that sucked so hard. I hated watching that game. What in the Brady Quinn did I just witness? At least Tyler Thigpen was fun. Get Thiggy with it. This was Chris Borodokin, and I don't even have a joke for this. Bichelle, great throw to get him in a field goal range, and Shane Buechele looked better than Oladokin. I was rooting for Oladokin, but man, that was a rough watch. That was just rough, man. Like that was just one of the most unenjoyable 3 hours of sports I have watched in over a decade. Again, this is 2012 part 2. Like I honestly wonder. I bet the 2012 team would beat this team. I think it would be really close. First team to 14 to 13 wins. I mean, this was like, I can't even get over what I just watched. Like, I know we're talking draft picks and like large picture stuff.
Sure.
I can't get over what we just witnessed. I mean, this was a team that won 2 games. 2 games. Like, I'm not even mad. Again, I get it. I still wanted the Chiefs to win because I don't think the draft change is that drastic. I know the thought process. I understand why. I just can't get over how bad of a game that was. Like my mind, I thought this would never happen again under Andy, like because Andy Reid's here. I don't care who you put back there. You can put me back there. And I thought, okay, Andy will disguise a way to put up 21 points against the Raiders. No, man. I'm sorry. I'm rambling, but also at a loss for words of the disaster I just saw.
You really watched a team out there in the Chiefs that had no quarterback. I mean, the guy that's been on the team all year basically is their glorified. I mean, he's the scout guy. Like they keep him around to use him for, pretending to be Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and stuff like that. Like he's not really ever meant to play. And Minshew, if they actually had their backup quarterback, they probably would have won a couple of these games down the stretch if he was able to play a whole game because he can win NFL games. He's proven that in multiple locations. For the Raiders, Aiden O'Connell was a 4th-round pick by the Raiders. Kenny Pickett was a 1st-round pick. So
2nd round, I think.
No, I think
he was a 1st-round pick, man.
Did he end up going first?
He was the 20th overall pick in 2022.
I mean, not a good 1st-round pick. He should have been a 1st-round pick, but
I mean, this is
small hands. Him and Kwame Brown, small hands.
Shane Buechele, he was not drafted. Chris Oladokin was picked in the 7th round, number 241. These guys, they have it's like when you're playing Madden and you're doing franchise mode and you didn't scout quarterbacks and the 7th round, you take a guy because it looks like he's got 99 arm power. That's Shane Buechele. He's got 99 arm power, but he can't do any of the other things that you need to do to be a good quarterback. He's got terrible pocket awareness. He has no touch on his passes. He can only sling it. Chris Oladokin is the guy that you get in the 7th round of your Madden draft that you're like, oh man, he's got 95 speed. I can't see anything else, but I can run around with him. And you're he's like a 40 at his short routes. That they have nobody. So it was bad, but not even Andy Reid can turn water into wine. And that's what he was trying to do. Shane Buechele was on the Bills 3 weeks ago. I know he knows the Chiefs system and all that stuff, but we weren't expecting. I don't know, what were we expecting in this game?
It made me wistful for the days of Brody Croyle and Damon Huard. I mean, really, that's the quarterback game. I mean, Chris Oladokin, apparently he knew the assignment. He fumbled twice, and that's probably the reason the Chiefs lost this game and are going to pick, I think, 9th overall. But he was definitely outplayed by Shane Buechele, but neither one of them set the world on fire. And just an ugly, ugly, brutal game that was very, 2012, 2010. It felt like the Chiefs were back in the wilderness for a day. And I think this is going to be short-lived, but in a weird way, it reminds us of how good we've had it with Mahomes. Because a lot of teams, this is the status quo. if you're a Jets fan, if you're a Browns fan. I mean, if you're a Browns fan, you are rooting for Myles Garrett to get the sack record today because you have nothing else to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to the defense. I know it's the Raiders, and I know it's Aiden O'Connell and Kenny Pickett and their buns, but I think it's still fair to point out this defense was electric today with a lot of guys out. Chris Jones, I thought, was pretty dominant. Charles Omenihu didn't. I don't think did he get credit for a sack or a tackle for a loss? But overall, this was the best game we've seen Charles Omenihu have all year. Of course, final game of the year. Now it happens. Nick Bolton was great. I thought Nick Bolton was phenomenal. Jeffrey Bossa, we didn't see a ton of. We did see more Cooper McDonald, at least it felt like that. I thought Christian Fulton had himself another nice game. I thought Christian Fulton has now had back-to-back games where I'm like, okay, he's under contract next year, and the cut versus keep conversation really becomes a convo now. Jaden Hicks had a couple of really good plays. That one in the back of the end zone was one that I think probably he's the only safety makes that play. He had one or two that I think he'd probably want back. Overall, though, I was really impressed with the defense. I mean, that's been a little bit of the storyline against bad teams, obviously, the last 3 weeks. Even the Broncos don't have a good offense, but still, this Chiefs defense, they've done their job, and there's more pieces defensively that I'm excited about because offensively does feel like a fairly complete overhaul needs to happen, especially if Travis Kelce, this is his last game. Oh, my goodness.
You got to mention
Noah Williams, yeah. But either we've overvalued Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, or I get it. Rice wasn't in and all that, but this receiving core, the backup tight ends, they're non-existent. It's week one stuff, year one stuff that still pops up now. Brashard Smith showed glimpses, but it's not like he's your every down guy. I think there's more holes offensively, and Patrick was covering up some of the deficiencies more so than even I thought, because these last 3 weeks, I'm left wondering, it's not just a wide receiver or a running back or a tight end. And the offensive line should be good when they're all healthy, and I like a lot of the backups overall, but woof.
It's hard to, I mean, it's the receivers outside of that one Hollywood Brown catch, like they didn't do anything, but it's kind of hard to judge them based on this quarterback play, right? I mean, Travis Kelce, they said on the broadcast, like they showed us clips of him wide open, and these guys just couldn't get him the ball. So I think it's an easier game to judge some of the defensive personnel and the offensive linemen and things like that than it is the receivers, because the quarterback play is just so bad. And one thing that stood out to me, at least if there's like a minor bright spot offensively, is Brashard Smith was fine. He had 12 carries for 56 yards. He had a 14-yard run. He showed one, he didn't break in half. He's a smaller guy, but he handled 12 carries and he didn't die. So that's a good, maybe Andy didn't know that could happen. But I also thought he showed some sneaky strength. Did you guys notice that on a couple of those runs, man? Like he got low and really pushed things a little bit.
Yeah, he was running hard. Kind of reminded me of Jerick McKinnon. I mean, pound for pound toughness there. And you're right. Andy Reid and the coaching staff acted as if this guy would implode if he ran up the middle, and he looked fine running up the middle. He even looked tough at times and had much more burst than we've seen from Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt all season. I'm not saying that he should have been like the primary back or anything, but it's just befuddling that this coaching staff wasn't playing him and Christian Fulton all season long, because they looked pretty good today. I got to say.
Yeah, there's some names that popped up too. Like Cooper McDonald, linebacker, had 7 tackles in this one, tackle for a loss. Ethan Downs got in there at defensive end that had 5 tackles. So they rotated some people in to get some looks at them. So credit to Spags for doing that. Credit to the whole coaching staff. They've been taken to task for not playing the young fellas. Nick Bolton was out there, and you got to take your hats off to Chris Jones. I'm not sure I'd have had him in there playing in the fourth quarter. You saw the Cowboys today, right? Like they took Dak Prescott out after halftime. Like if something horrible would happen, Chris Jones will be on the team next year. He's too expensive to move on from. And they wouldn't anyway. But like, if people are thinking that, like, having him in the fourth quarter, I was nervous, man. I was like, what if something horrible or catastrophic happens to him and then we don't have him, for next season, that would be awful. But it seems like everybody got out relatively unscathed.
I'm sure he wanted to be there. He was dominating that game, and I'm sure he thought, hey, this is a chance for me to do a little stat padding too. He had a really good second half of the year. I'll give Chris Jones this. It didn't matter because the Chiefs, the trajectory of Chris Jones and the defense, as well as the Chiefs team, were in opposite directions. As the Chiefs started to lose more games, Chris Jones really got a lot better. At least I thought. He still had a couple of dumb mistakes, obviously, the lining up off sides, some of the lollygagging, if you will. But overall, I think Chris Jones' second half of the year was really, really good. And I think this game was a culmination, a little, again, didn't matter, but a nice little cherry on top for CJ95 heading into the offseason.
And if you can draft like a dominant edge in this draft, or even as a rookie, a merely pretty good one, and surround him with more depth at defensive tackle so he doesn't have to play so many damn snaps, I think a return to form isn't out of question, because if you look at the amount of pressures he had this season, or his PFF pass rushing grade, or his time to get off the line of scrimmage, he's still elite by a lot of metrics. We're just not seeing the sacks. We're not seeing other guys get the cleanup sacks. I think he's still got it, and we should be excited about Chris Jones going forward, because I think he's still going to be the son that the defense gravitates around.
Yeah, I see people saying, talking about his contract and stuff. Look, man, there are a lot of factors. We give passes to Patrick all the time because the receivers aren't good or there are problems with the offensive line. But nobody ever gives a pass to Chris Jones for the fact that he gets double teamed every play, and literally nobody else outside of George Karlaftis occasionally with motor, not really with quick get off and skill, can get to the quarterback. So, and the other thing is, these last few years, this team, it's different from when he was racking up all those sacks. You know what the Chiefs were doing? They were putting up 35 points a game. Teams had to throw a ton against them. They were in inadvantageous situations, and he was able to pin his ears back because they were winning all the time. These last, it's been defense, ball control, short passes, all of those things on the Chiefs offense, and the games have been close. Even last year when they went to the Super Bowl, we know how many close games they won. So I'm not saying his skill hasn't diminished somewhat. The man's, entering his 30s. Of course, his skills are diminished a little bit. He's not going to be as good as he was when he was 27. But I'm telling you, man, there's nobody else to pay on the defensive line. Okay, the contract is fine, and Adam's right. If they can get some pass rushing help, whether it's via the draft or free agency, to help him out, and the offense gets right, you're gonna see more sacks from Chris Jones. But he's getting pressures. He's still wreaking havoc. The Chiefs just weren't very good last year, and it shows.
Yeah, to me, if you don't have Chris Jones as D-line, it goes from a bottom 3 D-line to the worst D-line in football by like a wide margin. Yeah. I think we're getting a little too out over our skis with some of these Chris Jones takes personally. Again, you can fan how you want, you can feel how you want, but if you think Chris Jones is still not at least a top 5 interior defensive lineman in football, I just don't think you're correct. Like, again, is he the best? No. But is he probably still like that 3rd, 4th, or 5th best interior defensive lineman in football? Yeah, I still think he is. It's almost like Travis Kelce. We get so spoiled by what he had done in the past that you expect that every year to be the norm. So you expect 15.5 sacks to be the norm for Chris Jones when that's going to be the outlier. I do think that you're going to have to spend at least a 1st or a 2nd rounder on edge, because you do have Karlaftis, which is a nice piece. And that's the going rate for a defensive end, too. I've broken this down on a previous episode. We will see with Omar Norman Lott. We will see. To me, Ashton Gelati is more or less the Mike Dana, but on a rookie contract. That's totally fine. I'm content there. What you need to do is replace who your starter was with Charles Minahu with a 1st or 2nd round impact edge rusher. And you got to get it right. Like, that's where I'm spending my 1st round draft pick if it were me. is on a defensive lineman. That, to me, is your best chance. I think the value of running back, you can get an impact running back in free agency, and the value monetarily is $11 million a year. Well, you try to get an impact edge rusher if they're available in free agency, and it's $30+ million, $35+ million, right? Well, use pick 9 on an edge rusher versus a running back, and the monetary value you're saving there, the difference is vast. That's what I would do personally. So that's when people say Jeremiah Love. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's Bijan Robinson, but I don't think he's Trent Richardson. I just think the value there is best suited if there's an option as an edge rusher. And I think that would solve a lot of issues.
They just need to be sure, because this coaching staff has not been good at evaluating defensive line talent. They just haven't. Chris Jones is a Dorsey pick. They've had more whiffs than they have hits for sure. And they haven't even been that great in free agency at signing defensive line. Charles Omenihu had some moments when he first came back from the suspension pre-ACL tear, but I'm a little worried about them potentially picking an edge, even though I think it's probably the right path. So I think maybe wide receiver could also be in consideration. You really want to pick the person you're the most confident will become a superstar in the top 10, I think.
Yes. And I think it's going to be tricky. 9 is still not really high. They're going to be able to get a good player at 9. And that needs to be their focus. We don't want them to reach on edge, because there could potentially be somebody there. So some of the guys that unfortunately my Ohio State Buckeyes, I watched this guy play and end our season. Reuben Bain Jr. from Florida just pretty much wrecked the game for the Buckeyes. He's an edge that's maybe going to be the first guy off the board. You know, he could go well before the Chiefs pick. And there's another guy out of Texas Tech, David Bailey.
Yeah.
He could be there, or he could go. Edges is premium. So if those guys are gone by the time the Chiefs pick, saying that they don't move up or try to get really aggressive to make sure they get their guy, then you could be left looking at players like Carnell Tate at wide receiver, who could be a game changer for this team. Caleb Downs at safety, both my Ohio State guys. Caleb Downs, it might be the best player in this draft.
Yes,
I know it's safety, but
yes.
the way that Spags likes to play defense, and he's a perfect fit for Spags style. And you remember what Eric Berry did to this defense. And I'm not saying Caleb Downs is definitely going to be Eric Berry, but he's in this Eric Berry stratosphere, man. And if he's there, yes, I would rather you take a player like Tate or Downs than reach for an edge that, just because you think you need an edge.
Yeah, and even like a Peter Woods defensive tackle is intriguing, as I see in the chat from Jesus Perez. Yeah, I'm not even just saying edge rusher only. I'm with you with safety. He is ridiculous. I think the Chiefs still have enough talent there. They've shown they can get more out of less, it feels like, at that position. And they have sunk a lot of draft capital, relatively speaking, in there. I do think Carnell Tate at wide receiver is fascinating, because the Ohio State wide receiver hit rate is absurd. It's absurd. It's almost like Washington cornerbacks, right? Those guys have been absurd. Backup quarterbacks at Missouri. Congratulations. You're going to somehow play in the NFL for a long ass time. That's just what happens. I don't know, man. I know wide receiver's not the number one need on this team, but with Worthy and Rice not looking that way, and Royals will find out, but you're probably losing Juju and Hollywood. Obviously, if this is Travis Kelce's last year, you'll need a weapon. Whether it's tight end or not, you need a weapon. Carnell Tate can be that weapon. I'm at least intrigued by him if he's there in the first round.
And we can't take Patrick Mahomes for granted. We have to give him weapons and keep him happy, because I know we all think that Patrick Mahomes will be here permanently, and I think he will. I hope he will. But a few more seasons like this, and he's not going to want to be. So I think it's always a priority to keep the cupboard full with him offensively, keep him happy, keep him thriving. And the Chiefs really throughout these past 4 years just put way too much on one man's shoulders. They had a revolving door at wide receiver. They had a revolving door at tackle. And I know in the past couple of years, they finally addressed that stuff, but it kind of was too late. So I'm into Carnell Tate. I know there are a couple of the receivers who will probably go in the top 15 who the Chiefs could look at. And I don't think we can be sold at this point with Rashee Rice as a true number one. We definitely can't be sold on Xavier Worthy as a true number one, because I'm not even sure he's a true number two. I think he's a good ancillary piece who can stretch the field a little bit and do some McCole Hardman-y things. But this was a disappointing season for Worthy, and maybe we can sum some of that up to the injury, but he still just doesn't have very good instincts as a receiver. I swear to God, he doesn't know where the sideline is 2 seasons in. And yeah, so that's where I'm at.
I love the people who are saying, well, even if they draft a wide receiver round 1, it's not like they're going to use him until week 10. And I see one in regards to the Chiefs not playing the young guys and playing the starters. Hey, you only have a 53-man roster. It's not college. So it's not like you have 100 guys on scholarship there. Starters are going to play. I don't have an issue with Chris Jones or Nick Bolton playing. I don't. He did play a lot of young guys. Bossa was maybe the one guy you wanted to see more of. Royals was out there a decent amount. Got a couple looks. Brashard was out there a lot. You look at the offensive line. Norzad was playing right guard. Like, there were a lot of young guys playing. I didn't have an issue with the lack of youth not being played in this one. Maybe you guys disagree, but I mean, we saw a good amount of Zach Pickens at defensive tackle. I don't know. I don't have any vitriol in this particular game. The previous 2 games, yes, I had some questions. This one, I thought that the youth was played proportionally.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing on Carnell Tate. He's 20 years old. Like, remember that. Early breakout age is really important. And we saw what Emeka Egbuka did this year. He's one of these guys, because a lot of people, Jeremiah Smith's like the next generational talent at wide receiver. If you don't watch Ohio State, he's unbelievable. And Carnell Tate was kind of in his shadow a little bit last year, and then coming into this year. And then this year it was like they were like 1A and 1B. And a lot of people thought Emeka Egbuka wasn't that good because of all the other receivers, great Ohio State receivers that he played with. And what happens? He goes to Tampa Bay, and from the jump was excellent. And his production only fell off because Baker and the Bucks kind of just fell apart offensively towards the end of the year. But he was excellent. So Carnell Tate is 6'3", almost 200 pounds. He's got some size and length. He plays on the outside a lot, mostly on the outside. He's what the Chiefs do not and have not had for a long time. So I know he's not 5'9", 175 pounds, which is what Andy prefers at wide receiver. But man, I think Patrick's eyes would light up if he's looking out there at the offense and Travis Kelce comes back and he's got Carnell Tate and Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, Brashard Smith in the backfield. Like, things start looking a little bit different. But we'll have plenty of draft coverage for you. Our guy Price Carter and Christian Ainsworth on the intangibles are going to be all over that. By the way, shout out to Price, dealing with a family matter, was going to join us tonight. We're thinking about him. Everything's fine, but dad duties come first. Let's get back to this game because I'll just start rolling out mock drafts here as soon as we get off. What did you see that you liked outside? We talked about Brashard Smith already. Was there anybody else out there that stood out to you guys? Adam, why don't you start us off that you thought, all right, this person's not an actual bum. Diamond in the rough.
I never thought Noel Williams was a bum, but I really liked the way he played, especially early. He was really sticky in coverage. He plays with physicality and swagger. And then he had the big blitz, the South Park I killed Kenny moment that I really appreciated. It's always fun when Spags sends the corners and the quarterback has no clue they're coming. Just imagine what that feels like. Ugh. And they just pop right up at this point. That's one of the things that is most underrated about pro quarterbacks. These guys are tough, man. I know it doesn't seem like it from the couch, but they are freaking tough. So Noel Williams, I'm trying to think. I thought Shu Godric was horrific today, but I thought Hunter Norzad hung in there. So I was encouraged by number 60. I'm trying to think who else looked good. I mean, Christian Fulton looked like Sterling mentioned earlier, we're not going to have to cut that guy. So that was encouraging. We just didn't see enough from Jalen Royals with this quarterback play and the way they were running the offense today to really speculate. I will say it's not a very good omen for wide receivers who don't do a lot in their first year. The history of that does not look good. And I know he had some guys in front of him, but Xavier Worthy missed a little bit of time. Rashee Rice missed 6 games. Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster should not be insurmountable players on the depth chart for someone of Jalen Royals' draft stock, like basically considered a consensus top 100 player who slipped for some reason. So not encouraged by that, but yeah, let's go with Norzad and Noel Williams primarily.
Yeah, Kingsley Sumatia for jumping over the guy on that final play of the game. He jumped a guy. That is, if you want to talk about athleticism, Kingsley Sumatia is that. I mean, that was insane. If you guys turn the game off before the final play because you're like, game's over, this is dumb, watch the final play of the game of Kingsley hurdling a guy like Saquon Barkley. It was insane. You're right on Norzad. Norzad, I thought, was serviceable. You didn't hear his name called a lot, which, as an offensive lineman, good. Chu Godric, you did hear his name called a lot. Not good. That was a bad game for Chu Godric. Trying to think of who else played well. Butker, I guess. Ariza, I guess. Fulton, yeah, I like to keep giving him a shout out because I was so high on that move in the offseason, so I'm glad at least it's semi-working, even if it's only 3 games. That was somewhat nice to see. I will say, biggest disappointment, how can Travis Kelce go out like that? Again, not his fault. It wasn't like I'm saying it was his fault, but like, was it two catches, 10 yards?
I think he had 3 because he had that last one.
Oh, I get, yeah, it'd have been 3 for 18 or whatever it would have been. Yeah.
12, 3 for 12.
That was just a horrible way. Past couple weeks, horrible way for one of the greatest tight ends of all time, if it is him going out. I mean, that's just, you hate me like it's unfair, but like it feels unfair that's how he would go out with Shane Buechele throwing him the ball as you lose to the Raiders, the 2-win Raiders. Like that just feels wrong.
Yeah, and it felt wrong. You're right. It felt wrong these last few games. And credit, he's still out there. He went out there and he put in the effort. But every time he walked back to the sideline and they showed him, you could just see his body language. Like he just didn't look fired up. And there's a couple of ways to take that, right? You could take it as, hey, he's done. He just doesn't have the fire and the passion for the game anymore. But also it's got to be hard. I mean, it's got to be hard for all of these guys, but particularly a guy like him who knows that this might be it for him to be going out there, getting open, and like Shane Buechele, they're trying to get him the ball at the end of the game, and Shane Buechele, he's wide open and throws it at his ankles. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with you, Sterling. I think, and this is me, this is Patrick, the Chiefs fan talking. I want him to come back. I mean, it's not about, we know that everybody doesn't get the Hollywood ending, right? If he wanted the Hollywood ending, he could have had it. He could have walked away when they were lifting their last Lombardi.
You got the Marquise ending.
Yeah, but look, he was coming, they were going for the 3-peat. Like, I get it. You know, and then that left a bad taste in his mouth. Well, if the loss to the Eagles in the Super Bowl left a bad taste in his mouth, what about this ending? I think you're not going to get the Hollywood ending, but you want to go down in a blaze of glory, right? Fighting, catching passes from 15, losing a playoff game. And this felt gross. And I'm sure that when he gets some space from it, he may be able to think about all of the good things. And this very small portion at the end just was what it was. And he watched his brother, not walk away winning the Super Bowl or even playing in a Super Bowl. So I think all that's working against those of us who would like to see Travis come back. But maybe he feels differently about it. Maybe he thinks about Mahomes coming back. He sees the moves that they're going to make in the off season, and he changes his mind. Or maybe he does the old Gronk and comes back next October when the Chiefs need some help at tight end. What do you think, Adam? Is this it for Travis Kelce? Did we witness the end of Big Yeti?
Man, I really don't know. On one hand, I'm thinking about Mahomes and them being best buddies, and Travis thinking, am I really going to leave him at this moment when the Chiefs are the lowest they've been in a decade, where he's coming off an ACL injury? So there's that. And there's also what happened today. And I remember the famous Michael Jordan quote, you want to go down with no bullets left in your holster. Well, it didn't feel like Travis Kelce was able to do that today. On the other hand, he's had a lot of surgeries. He's played through a lot of injuries. His non-football star is rising fast, and he's got opportunities to bring back Hollywood again. And we're not talking about Marquise off the football field that are pretty rare and pretty special. So I definitely want him back. I think it's crazy, the Chiefs fans who don't want him back. I would think about Travis Kelce like this, and we always should have thought about him like this. Throughout his career, he's given almost the production of Devontae Adams at times, like a little bit less, or Mike Evans, but he gets paid half of what they get paid. So if you think about him as the number one target and not a tight end, or even like a number two target, he's still pretty affordable. And I have a feeling if he comes back, he'll probably take a fairly team-friendly deal because of what they're up against right now. So I want him back. I think Travis Kelce, and I feel this way about Chris Jones, I feel like they have earned the right to walk away when they want to. And I'd love to see 87 back.
Yeah, I again, this becomes a massive need for Kansas City if he does not come back. Want to give a huge shout out to Vladimir Putin. Always appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Says, I just want to say thank you guys for analysis and the insight this season. This season definitely sucked, but there were a few bright spots, not many. Patrick will be back, and things will start to even out. We need some new blood. Vladimir Putin, always appreciate you. Thank you for being with us all season long. Honestly, thank everyone for being here all season long. Thank you for spending your time, your hard-earned dollars, your ears, hanging out with us and agreeing, disagreeing, giving pushback, giving us likes, 5-star reviews. Yeah, we still do those things. We just really appreciate this because, yeah, you're right. This is the off season coming up for us, but we will still be with you guys every step of the way.
We're going to have some more final thoughts for you in just a minute. But before we get to that, we got to let you know that football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing Underdog's easy. You just pick whether your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. If you get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Love Underdog. It's going to be fun during the playoffs, especially since it'll be a little bit more stress-free since our favorite team won't be in the tournament, unfortunately. But for tonight's Sunday Night Football game, I'm excited about this one. Ravens Steelers playing for the division and the playoffs. Give me Derrick Henry higher than 87.5 rushing yards and Aaron Rodgers lower than 202.5 passing yards. And with Underdog Unwrapped, you unwrap tons of promos all through the holidays. We got boosts, gimme picks, deal reveals, and even some surprises sprinkled in. Now's the best time to get in the game. Download the app today and use our promo code Arrowhead Addict to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, Virginia, and President State, where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdog.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_HTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Concerned about your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE New York or text Hope New York to 467-369.
Landed the plane. At one point, there was some rough turbulence in the skies. There was a nosedive, and we all got nervous. And the pilot did a great job. It was unexpected. It was clear air turbulence.
Sully.
Patrick Sully Allen.
it's like when you're walking and you trip, right? And so you start to stumble and you have to start running so that you don't fall flat on your face. That's kind of what happened there. But we hung on. And we finished it off. I went hard. You know, this is the last game of the season, and I didn't want to just play it safe, you know, and then lose on a 60-yard field goal at the end of the game. Let's talk a little bit more about Travis Kelce before we get out of here. And we have a lot on the show, but I mean, the people that are saying he needs to retire, and I get it. The money thing is an issue, right? And I think if he comes back, it has to be for, you know, what he's expected to give the Chiefs next year, which is hopefully somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 to 700 yards, maybe 800 if things go really, really well, as a chain mover, as a hopefully third option in the passing game, and maybe a fourth option in the offense. If you end up with a Carnell Tate and you have Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy makes the jump and you get a Breece Hall or a running back, a free agency, like that would be perfect. And I think Travis, if he does come back, I mean, this isn't a guy that would be coming back for money. This is a guy that would be coming back for the love of the game, who thinks he's still got some good football left in him. And maybe look, everybody should always get paid what they think they're worth. And if the Chiefs are like, we can't afford what you're worth even right now because of our cap situation, then maybe he retires. But I think that's a guy you make room for if you can, because we've seen other tight ends gracefully continue their careers and find roles in teams. And the fact of the matter is he's still the best tight end on the Kansas City Chiefs. And unless something crazy happens, he'll probably be the best tight end on the Kansas City Chiefs next year if he decides to come back. I don't want to see him go out like this. I want to see him play one more season. But obviously we just want what's best for Big Yeti.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's funny how you look at Kyle Pitts, who had a better game today, so the numbers will be a little different now. But going into the game, Kyle Pitts, everyone's like, resurgence, best free agent tight end on the market, trade for him, sign him, all this stuff. Oh, Kelce, he's washed, all this. And you look at the stats, like the exact same. Like, it's just very funny to me, the conversation difference between some of these guys. Yeah, it all comes down to Kelce. He wouldn't come back in the same contract. It'll be different. It'll be unique, and who knows? Obviously, part of the conversation has to be, you know, just even the pride aspect of, you know, I don't think he's coming back for the vet minimum. It's a nuanced conversation, and we'll find out before March. We're gonna have to. I'm sure I think he's gonna let the Chiefs know at least before March. You have to know for free agency and then the draft, all that, obviously, but we'll see, because you're right. If he's not back next year, tight end becomes a position that is paramount to invest fairly heavily in.
I will say, Clark Hunt, if there was ever a reason to use void years and kick the can down the road, it would be to give Travis Kelce another shot. You know, he's given the city and this team a shit ton, and he deserves to go out better if he wants to go out better. And I can't imagine. I mean, there was a moment during this game I was like, this is rock bottom. It was when Kyle Long, failed Chiefs reclamation project, was singing the Backstreet Boys as the 2-14 Raiders ran all over the 6-10 Chiefs. And that's when I said, hey, there's nowhere to go from here but up. We will never be this low again. And I think that's true.
Yeah, Travis is a $19.8 million cap hit for the Chiefs this year. So, you know, yeah, right. Can he come back for 9, 10?
12 even?
You know, Hollywood Brown's going off the books. Like, say you do get a Carnell Tate. Well, then you don't need Hollywood Brown anymore, right? So, and I know that the salaries are different and everything, but Hollywood Brown cost you $6 million. You could replace his production with Travis Kelce and add a Carnell Tate in, and your offense is still looking really interesting. So there's a lot of different ways that they can do it. It's up to hold on. So Kills says, dude, how is anyone shocked by this? This team has shown you exactly who they are since Buffalo. He says, Patrick, you're delusional to think Minshew would have made a difference. The offense couldn't produce. They would have beaten the Tennessee Titans if Gardner Minshew played that whole game. I am 1,000% convinced of that. I know it started poorly, but also he immediately hurt his knee and couldn't throw. Like, he was immediately hurt. Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback. Andy Reid, they had a game plan. They would not have lost to the Tennessee Titans. They would not have, with Gardner Minshew, would not have lost this game to the Raiders. It just wouldn't happen. I'm sorry. The team has struggled and imploded in some areas, but it's still a really talented football team. When you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter, man. Like, it does not matter. And I'm talking a quarterback. Gardner Minshew is a quarterback. Chris Oladokun and Shane Buechele are not NFL quarterbacks. They're just not. Okay. And so that's what you see when they get out there is just, it's a disaster. It would not have been a disaster with Gardner Minshew, who's been the backup quarterback all season long. I'm not saying they would have won all their games. They wouldn't have, but they pulled Matt Moore off the street and won a game. They can win a game with Gardner Minshew.
I don't think it matters.
I like winning arguments, Sterling. I want to win my argument.
The game plan was ass. Like, I'm not saying fire Andy Reid, but like, it's clear the game plan also sucks. It wasn't like the offense was incredible when Mahomes was back there. It wasn't like it was 2022. Again,
changing the subject
everyone's
real
to blame.
quick. What was Andy doing calling that tight end timeout with 15 seconds left?
Tank job, baby.
Yeah, I unless he was in on the tank, it was one in a long line of inexplicable Andy Reid timeouts that made no sense. Because they were going up there and they were going to have to get their special teams ready. They were going to have to. I mean, maybe they would have clocked it at that point. I don't know, and just tried the field goal from there. But they were probably going to try to run a play. Probably would have ran the ball, but they might have thrown it because the incompletion would have stopped the clock. So I don't know, man. You could have gotten a sack there and knocked them out of field goal range because of all the chaos and not having a chance to pick a perfect play to get a few more yards. Yeah, that was strange, man.
Ugly game.
Red in the chat says Andy Reid needs to retire. I know he won a lot, but look at the coaching decisions. They have been bad, and he refuses to adapt. It just hasn't been this year. It's been like this for like 2. I don't agree. I've said this a million times. There's certainly things Andy needs to do better and some things he needs to adapt to. But just because people are acting like he's been a disaster for 2 years because the offense struggled because they had Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore out there trying to catch passes. Like, Andy needs to be better, but they just went to the Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl in the last 2 years. What are you talking about? Like, is anybody given any, like, how much good do you have to do? Right? Like, for a group of people, how much good do you have to do to be given 1 or 2 mulligans? Because it's insanity.
And he was just last year the best situational football coach in the NFL. That's coaching. When you're winning all those one-score games late, yeah, I know some of it is Patrick Mahomes being clutch. Some of it is Chris Jones being clutch. Steve Spagnuolo certainly helps, but that's coaching. I mean, they were the most prepared, most poised team in football a year ago. That came unraveled this year. But yeah, he has built up so much goodwill over the last decade and change that not giving Andy Reid another shot is absolutely insane and kind of ungrateful, frankly. I think his seat needs to feel a little bit warm, and just warm enough that he knows that he has to kind of reinvent himself again, and their major changes have to come to Kansas City. But I don't know, kicking him out right now just feels ungrateful.
His seat's as warm as a heat warmer in a car. Like, that's what it should be. Like, yeah, if next year they miss the playoffs, then we could have a legit conversation. But I mean, what are we doing? And by the way, I think everyone just assumes he's like Pete Carroll's age or older. He's 67. He just looks older. Like, it's not like Andy Reid is like 75. Everyone's like, he's having these senior moments. He's 67. That's not that old in the grand scheme of things. Like, it really isn't. I don't know, man. I'm with you. The amount of goodwill Andy's brought and should have, I've been a proponent of it's been the same offense since 2022. Like, I've been a proponent of it hasn't changed. But the last time they had to do an overhaul was 21-22. They did, and they had a three-peat opportunity. I will acquiesce and say I will believe that Andy could get this right, and this time a rebuilding or retooling could be in the cards. Yeah, I trust Andy. And I always ask people, then who? Who would you have as a head coach? And invariably I get the same answer of, well, Sean McVay or Kevin O'Connell. And I'm like, what are we what's this, college? The NIL fund? What are we doing? They're not just going to go, yeah, you know what? I'm going from Minnesota, now I'm going to Kansas City. Like, that's not how it works.
Oregon Fishing nails it. Yeah. Sorry, or it's just Oregon Fishing nailed it here. He said Andy changed the entire game plan to fit Alex Smith, then again for Tyreek, and then again without him. To think he can't adjust again is really just showing how stupid people can be. Look, everybody reaches a limit, right? Everybody reaches an end of the line where maybe they don't have it anymore. It's possible. It can happen. He's figured out. Maybe he hasn't adapted enough to what defenses are doing. But I think Oregon Fishing is right. Like, he adapted to life without Tyreek Hill, and Patrick won another MVP. And they won the Super Bowl. And then they won another Super Bowl. So, and it's like, this season wasn't a disaster, you guys. Like, when you look at it at the end of the day, Patrick got hurt. And then everything just kind of, and the offensive line issues, like with the injuries, and then it fell apart. But if everybody stays healthy, maybe this season doesn't go how we want it to be. But they're finishing around 500, right? They're finishing just missing
still
the playoffs.
a disaster.
I mean,
it's a disaster when you have
6-11 is not that close to 500. I know they've lost 6 in a row.
No, I'm saying if Patrick didn't get hurt. And right, if Patrick doesn't get hurt, there's no way they lose to Tennessee. There's no way they lose to the Raiders in this last game. Like, the season doesn't look as bad. It wasn't a good season. They weren't a good team. They had some fatal flaws, but like, people are when they're like, Andy's got to go and he needs to retire. Like, they're acting like they finished 2-14 or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how things would have gone. It's just, it wasn't a good season. Things were rocky. They had some bad injuries, and then their all-world quarterback got hurt, and then things imploded from there because Chris Oladokun was their quarterback. So I agree with you guys. He's got to turn it around next year. Patrick Mahomes is in his prime. He's coming back from an injury, but I've been saying it. We may all look back at this season and say, you know what, like. It forced some needed changes, just like the needed changes that needed to happen when they traded Tyreek Hill. They needed to change things. They couldn't go out there and play the same offense. And it wasn't even working as well when Tyreek was still there. You remember that, right? They didn't go to the Super Bowl because teams changed the way they were playing defense. And they were like, all right, you know what? We don't need Tyreek Hill because we can change our offense, and Patrick can win an MVP, and we can win the Super Bowl by playing a little bit of a different style of offense and not airing it out. So that has run its course now, and they're going to change things. And I'm excited for this offseason. As big of a bummer as this season has been, Patrick's going to be in the, getting all bionic and everything with Bobby Stroop all offseason. And he's just going to be thinking about, like, he's going to be hearing all the hate. It's not, oh, we lost to the Super Bowl, we got blown out in the Super Bowl. It's people saying things like Patrick is washed, the Chiefs are done, the dynasty's over, like that kind of crazy stuff. He's going to come back more motivated than ever, and the Chiefs are going to make big changes, and they're going to be aggressive. Whatever happened here, Brett Veach, you don't sit back after this and make small changes. They even said it on the broadcast that the Chiefs expect major overhaul, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. You should be excited about that because there's no other head coach I would want leading that overhaul than Andy Reid.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right, fellas. Can we do arrowheads for this game? I want to give one to the Raiders kicker.
Daniel Carlson.
Dang it, that's mine. You son of a...
Yeah. You always steal my shit, Sterling. Every episode.
I don't steal it.
I'm getting it in.
How can I steal it if I go first?
Because
guys,
even
it's unanimous.
Daniel
the
Carlson.
one time
I'm giving my arrowhead to Daniel Carlson. Boom, first.
I already said it. The one time this season
Didn't know his name.
that I said I wanted to go first because I had one, you jumped in and stole it from me. So screw you. Carlson gets my arrowhead.
Whoa, buddy.
That's right.
That's
right.
You know what? No. Daniel Carlson, Arrowhead, Sterling Holmes, the Sterling stamp.
You just want to be me so badly. Adam, you got any arrowheads to give out?
Yeah, Chris Oladukin for fumbling twice. Chu Godric for acting like.
Did you make him Canadian? Chris Oladukin.
Oladukin. Sorry for the fumbles. Sorry.
He doesn't deserve to have his name pronounced right. Okay. Let's see. Chu Godric. He gets the Damian Sacintosh Award for just being like an orange traffic cone out there.
Yeah.
So he was helpful in securing the number 9 pick. I don't know who else. I mean, I thought Chris Jones played well. Nick Bolton played well. Those guys and Creed Humphrey. What an Iron Man. I didn't love seeing him out there, but I don't know what it's going to take like World War III to get Creed Humphrey off that football field. And we should celebrate him more. My dad asked me the other day, who do you give team MVP to? And I think I give it to Creed Humphrey because he's the one player in the Chiefs that you can definitively say this year he's the best player at his position. And I think as a center with a team with all these big personalities, sometimes he gets overlooked. But he's one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, and we should appreciate him.
Indeed. We got one from Jesus Perez, which obviously you got to give an arrowhead to Travis Kelce. If this was it, this isn't the way you wanted him to go out, but man, I couldn't be more thankful. One of my favorite Chiefs of all time. We went through a lot of pain and a lot of misery for a lot of years, and Travis Kelce, before the real winning, the playoff winning started, he was awesome and entertaining and fun to watch. Gave us some hilarious moments adjacent to his play. Making the lewd motion next to the ref, throwing his own flag at the ref might be one of the greatest sports moments in history.
How about a arrowhead to you, the listeners? Aw, yeah. Woo. To you guys. I really wish I had on my board like the ability to put 90s sitcom, like the aw. Make it really cheesy and over the top. I wish I could do that. I could, I'm sure. I don't know how.
We need the Wayne and Garth. We're not worthy. That would be a good sound clip right now.
That's what we needed.
Listen, everybody, seriously, it's been another fun season of covering this team with you, even though, it's weird. It's only January 4th. So it's very, very strange for us here at the Arrowhead Addict podcast. We generally are working all the way through February. But listen, the Chiefs aren't going to the Super Bowl, but Sterling and I are. Again, we'll be there. We'll be at the Super Bowl covering the big game, and we'll be there to represent Chiefs Kingdom, and as we are every year out on Radio Row. It's a lot of fun.
Rooming together?
Not after you tried to steal my Daniel Carlson arrowhead.
Hey, you know what? I'll let you forgive me. We're gonna room together. We're gonna have fun.
We'll live stream that. That's what the people want.
That's what we should do. It's like a reality show.
It's gonna be like Step Brothers. You guys are gonna be like taking swords to watermelons.
We're gonna build bunk beds, dude. We're gonna build bunk beds. It's gonna be electric.
We're gonna need to get the AI to Photoshop our heads on the Step Brothers poster. Listen, the Arrowhead Addict podcast is not going anywhere. In fact, this is one of the most fun times of year around here because we all love the draft. We all really get into it, especially Price and Christian on the intangibles. You're going to be prepared. There's great writing over at arrowheadaddict.com. Price is going to be putting out his big board. It might already be out for all I know. So this is and the Chiefs have never had, like, in a long time. We have not had, I think the last time we picked this high was Eric Fisher, maybe. So when they picked number 1 overall. So it's been a long time. The Chiefs have a chance to restock the cupboard here with the 9th overall pick. That means they're going to be picking high up in every single round. Maybe they trade Trent McDuffie and net themselves another first-round pick. We'll break all that down, all the rumors and news and everything here on the podcast and on the website. So make sure that you don't miss it. And it's going to be an exciting off season, and we'll be here to take you all the way through. We have all of our shows. We don't take any shows off. We just keep right on rolling all the way through, even in the doldrums of the summer months. till we get to training camp. We're going to keep you guys entertained and informed on what's going on here. And we're going to turn this thing around. And next year, we're going to be recording well into January and February. Thank you to producer Sean for getting us up. Thank you to our members who have been incredible support structure for us all year. If you want to become a member of the Arrowhead Addict podcast, now is the time. Check out the link in the description. We'll be back next week, and we'll break down these playoffs and everything else. But for the blog father, Adam Best, for the smoothest voice in Kansas City radio, Sterling Holmes, my name is Patrick Allen. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, as always, go Chiefs.